at 7. Working against Butler. Got downhill. Couldn't punch it. Bam says, get it out of here. Here comes Bledsoe. Bam with a great block from behind. Bam. Oh, my. And out of bio.
So what's up you guys, your man NBA fan crazy, and before we get on to today's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, not miss a piece of daily NBA content. Now saying all of that, let's get on to today's video. So the Miami Heat just beat the New Orleans Pelicans 111-98. So from that game I had some few takeaways mine. I had some takeaways from that game which I wanted to show to you guys in the form of a video right here. Let's roll the tape. So the first takeaway I found out was that this is not just limited to the Heat, it's from the game itself. But most of them are probably gonna be the Miami Heat. One takeaway I'm gonna tell you guys, that this might be the only takeaway, this non-Miami Heat takeaways, but the first takeaway is gonna be Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram's lethal. I mean, I saw the game yesterday. Zion applied so much pressure to the rim by just his attacking. So, from what I see, they both played tremendously all game. And I'll tell you guys, those two are pretty much the reason why the Pelicans were able to stay in the game against the Heat, even though the Heat started to build a very, very big lead as soon as the second quarter started. So you know where I'm coming from, because once the second quarter started, the Heat managed to start pulling away. But one large part of why they stayed in the game is because of Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram themselves. So as we go deep into the stat line, Zion was pretty efficient himself. So he took 11 of 20 from the field. He was 11 of 20 from the field, one attempt being a 3 and 19 of them being 2s, and overall he managed to convert 11 field goals, and then out of 15 free throws he managed to convert 10. So he was really efficient for tonight, also capturing 4 offensive rebounds and then 10 defensive, resulting in a total of 14. He had a plus minus of minus 13, but overall I find plus minus to be a misleading stat, because we know Zion was really good this game overall. And Brandon Ingram, he had 28 points. He was pretty efficient, though the stats don't tell the whole story. So Brandon Ingram had a pretty good game himself. 4 for 8 from the 3-point line, 7 of 17 overall, 10 of 11 from the free throw line. So Brandon Ingram, since I started to watch him after he came to the Pelicans, he's starting to drive more to the basket, adding more muscle, because the thing for him coming out of the draft, its weakness was that he was rail thin for a 6'9" kind of wing player. He's a really good offensive wing. He's started to stretch out to the 3-point line because he took less threes. He's more of a mid-range shooter, but now he's managed to hone his mid-range more while also starting to make threes and expand out to the 3-point line willingly. So Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram combined for 60 points. They combined for 18 of 37, just a bit above 50%, and they both combined managed to go 20 for 26 from the free throw line. So Brandon Ingram himself, not a big rebounding night, because he wasn't featured predominantly on the rebounding battle. Leave that to Steven Adams and Zion Williamson. The rebounding front court, the guys who rebound in masses, they rebound too much. Do you see that, right? So in the Toronto New Orleans game, one thing I heard while I was seeing the Pelicans broadcast, I think it was Antonio Daniels, the color analyst of the New Orleans Pelicans for Fox Sports New Orleans, he mentioned this. Steven Adams and Zion Williamson combined for 27 rebounds against the Raptors. They killed the Raptors on the glass. They really did. They just took everything out of that. I watched the full game itself on a recap. I just saw how the Pelicans were taking too many boards. They made their presence felt on the glass. And one more thing which I saw being common was that the Pelicans started to focus more on defense as they began try make their effort in coming back into the game itself. So but the main reason why they're there is because of Ingram and Zion. They had a really good game, and I think the future is bright for them and the Pelicans. Lonzo Ball and Eric Bledsoe didn't have that big of a game. You could credit Eric Bledsoe for the reason why the Pelicans probably lost, because he was really terrible from the field, and I thought why Stan Van Gundy was keeping him from the game. But ultimately they lost because in main part due to Eric Bledsoe and his terrible shooting night from the field. He was not really that good from the field, just 2 for 10 and 1 for 6, and a 3 which he made in pretty much the last 1 minute of the last minute of the game itself to make them 95-109. So there you go. So second takeaway was that let's just say Precious Achiuwa was pretty good himself. Like when he came into the game, I saw Steven Adams. Him struggle with Steven Adams, because Steven Adams is really big and really physical. He crashes the glass a lot. He really thrives on the offensive boards himself. Steven Adams does. So you know how big and physical he is, because he's willing to crash the glass. 6'11", 265. Steven Adams is like, you know that he's willing to crash the glass, get his team second chance opportunities. So you know how this created, like I was frustrated a bit to start the game, because you get off to slow starts, you're not able to recover from that, even no matter how good you play in the game. But the Heat were in part due to the 3-point shooting, and sometimes when I felt nervous in the third, you only saw a Precious Achiuwa lob, or one time where he just kept his composure under the rim. He just managed to finish a contested finish, if I'm right, over Zion Williamson being his nearest defender, if I'm right. So Precious Achiuwa had a really good game, and his defense, his switchable defense is really important as a backup 5, because this Heat team was in need of a backup 5 who could defend and roll to the rim, and not just being a stretch 5, because you want to mix and match come playoff time. And having Achiuwa, and that though he's not very big, he's just 6'9", 234, he's still more faster at his feet, and you can think he's gonna contribute more in regular season time and playoff time, because the backup 5 was a weakness of the Heat, because we saw how much the Lakers just had their way with the Heat on the rebounding part and in the paint itself, because of Bam Adebayo not being in there. And one more thing, Gordonrogic, he's really played very well yesterday, so I want to credit him for what is due, because him coming into the second, even though he had, let's just say, Gordonrogic had 18 points, 2 rebounds and 9 assists. For me, he was the stabilizer, because in large part due to Jimmy Butler going out, he helped them beat themselves, and he calmed them as a veteran and as a leader and as an offensive contributor. So you know what he did outside and inside, where he sometimes stole the ball and then went ahead in transition, or connecting on lobs with Achiuwa, or finishing around the rim himself. Because in this game I didn't see a lot of jump shooting from Dragic. It was either mostly facilitating or just going to the rim himself. So he had a pretty good game, which I don't think the stats will reflect, because the stats don't reflect anything except for what it's just a number. That's all. Stats just a number, guys. So don't get fooled, go the way of the casual fan, because the casual fan doesn't know half a bit of what he's talking about. So I'm saying like the stat lines don't show everything 18, 2 and 9, but he really was a key piece when why the Heat won this game after Jimmy Butler went to the locker room and did not return for the second half. And one more thing which I want to take away, and this takeaway is pretty the reason why I like what the Heat did in the closing lineup. So the Heat, when the closing lineup went to Gordonrogic, Tyler Hero, Andre Iguodala, and I think Andre Iguodala and Precious Achua. And then who's the one dude? It's a forward? No. I was shocked the Heat decided to go. I think the Heat decided to go 3 guard to mix and match the Pels lineup itself, because I think they went more smaller with Zion at center, if I'm right, to end the game. Because I didn't see Steven Adams in there. So, So they got Avery Bradley in there, and I liked Avery Bradley for what he did. I think this is his debut as a Heat player of the Heat in the regular season, because that's what he considered debuts to be. So his relentlessness going on and off the ball, and him being a pretty decent shooter himself, sometimes inconsistent, but as far as what counting stats say, Avery Bradley had 12 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 rebounds, and then 4 assists. I don't think that reflects what presence Avery Bradley has on this game, because his defense on JJ Redick, it really helped set the tone, because it did not help the sniper, because JJ Redick, let's be honest here, he's one of the better consistent shooters in the league, and as well as his reputation, as a shooter, he's a really efficient shooter. He comes down screens, fast off-ball movement, and Avery Bradley was in large part really effective in containing him off the ball, because as far as Avery Bradley, he's a really good defender, but his relentlessness to not let JJ Redick get a shot off, sometimes it led to aggressive fouls, maybe. Sometimes it resulted in offensive fouls and then defensive fouls, but sometimes he really did hound JJ Redick a lot, which ultimately resulted in, let's just say, JJ Redick fouling out of the game in the fourth quarter. I like what Avery Bradley brings, because he is a pretty, not let's say decent, he's a pretty okay ball handler at best, and the Heat don't need him to be a ball handler. They need him to, if let's say come off screens and then late into the shot clock or early into the shot clock, just catch and shoot maybe, and then hound the opposing player in the defensive end. That's the role of Avery Bradley on the Heat, is to play stout, play decent on offense and hound your matchup on defense. So I like what Avery Bradley did this game. He absolutely went after JJ Redick. He wasn't willing to let Redick into a bit of his airspace, let him get comfortable and go on rhythm, because the only time I remember JJ Redick making a shot over Avery Bradley was when the Pels brought it to 91-85, which was, I think, on a transition. That was pretty much a semi-transition or transition 3, which was pretty much the only shot I remember him giving up and not resulting in free throws. This is just pure nearest defender on JJ Redick, Avery Bradley on JJ Redick, and only field goal I remember him making was that 3-pointer. So he hounded JJ Redick there. So I like what, and one more thing to say, the Heat's offense a bit. This will be my final takeaway. The Heat's offense a bit bogged down as a result of Jimmy Butler going on, and though Butler didn't score a lot, because in fact, as far as only points go, he only scored 4 points. So, but that's not what the Heat need him to do, because come playoff time, yes, you do need him to score, because he's the best player, but he can also play, make, and then defend. So his overall presence was a little bit missed to start, because the Pelicans brought it to a point where I as a fan was panicking because this team was up 23 in the second quarter, just bringing it up to 6. So that point it was absolute panic until the fourth quarter happened. So the Heat. So my takeaway was the point till which the Heat managed to pull away in the fourth. Till then, the offense was bogging down. They weren't able to make threes. They set a record of let's just say 13 of 21 from 3 after just getting 20 attempts and going 7 for 20 in Orlando. So them getting up to 13 for 21, then the offense bogging down when Jimmy's not there. He's gone for the rest of the game due to injury. His playmaking was let's say pretty noticeably missed to start because though Iguodala's let's just say he can handle the ball and play make, he's not the attacker Jimmy Butler is. He's not the offensive player Jimmy Butler is, because at this point pretty much Iguodala is like 36 years old and he's too old to be the guy who needs to play the best player role, attack and shoot, create their own shots. So the Heat had a bit of struggle with Butler going out, but ultimately managed to pull away. So my takeaways from this are Ingram and Zion being a really promising duo, and them being the reason why the Pelicans stayed in the game itself. So my second takeaway was that Precious Achiuwa was pretty good himself, because his defense and his rim rolling and his rebounding, though Steven Adams managed to sometimes bully him to the cup, his effort on defense and his rim rolling on offense and his catching lobs, it really was a real energy spark, because as Bam did not come back to close the game, he sat out like some 8 minutes left in the fourth. So there was it. So Gordonrogic was really good himself, because the counting stats won't tell it, but he really was a stabilizing force which helped the Heat keep the Pelicans at bay. And the fourth one is the Heat offense bogging down because of Jimmy Butler's departure from the game. So I hope you guys listen to this recording, and I hope you guys subscribe to both the channels so you do not miss a piece of daily NBA content coming from both of those channels. So I hope you all had a good time here. So I thank you guys for listening to this. I'll see you all next time on that channel, second channel. So I will see y'all. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you like the content put out by me, please subscribe to the channel. Do not miss a piece of daily NBA content. And I will be seeing you guys in the next video.